Hey, Alpha fan, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, we have a special request to review XRP by one of our members, and so I did just want to jump into the charts and show you what's going on because this is probably one of the more obvious trade setups that have been occurring in crypto, and it's been a long time coming, okay, guys? So, first of all, for XRP, I truly do not need any horizontal lines. I do not need to get super fancy. Let's just start with some basics. Is this thing in an uptrend or is it in a downtrend? Well, if we take a look at the top of this chart, you can see that we do have this downtrend, right? Which it has been in since perhaps way back here in April 2021, this thing has been nothing but down. However, on the other side of the chart, if you look at the bottom of it, right, I think we could go as far back as here. We can just see that this thing has been in an uptrend, right? It's been in an uptrend since basically March 2019. And so, what do you do when you have a wedge like this? Well, first of all, it's a really nice sign to see that we do have that floor that just continuously rises. Why is that nice to see? Because if you get into an asset which has a floor that continuously rises, then a great strategy is to just get in on it whenever you see it touching that floor. And so here we had one, two, three touches on an uptrend, right? And so that suggested that if we ever came back to this line, it would be a great place to buy because whenever we've come to this line, we've never broken below it. And that has been true for several years. Years, guys, years. Okay, that has been true for years. And so when we touched this line back here in June this year, 2022, and then when we made a double bottom, essentially a little bit higher, which is actually nice to see on a double bottom, that's a great W formation. That is a great higher low. Then what you could see is your next best opportunity to have gotten in this year in August 2022. And so that's when you started to see people really accumulating XRP on this long uptrend, right? However, we still have the fact that we had to contend with this downtrend. And so people were wondering, well, is this thing going to lose support if crypto falls off of a cliff, right? If Ethereum and Bitcoin just dump to hell, is XRP going to lose this year-long uptrend and dump to hell? Because we've tested this line so many times. If it failed, that could be just traumatic. We could drop down to some of these lower levels that we've basically bottomed at before, such as retesting this low back here in a 2020. And so that's the fear, that's the risk that you take in order to try to make some money. And since that was a fairly reasonable, fear to have, a fairly reasonable risk that could be at play, then there should be some reward to that, which we're seeing in terms of this pump to the upside of about approximately 30%, approximately 40%, depending where you got in, maybe as much as 55%, right? Assuming you got in this year and not way back here in 2020. But what you can't see is that we also have an internal wedge here, right? And so even if let's just use this wick right here, kind of draw this forward, kind of pull this back, you can see that these pumps right here were the first indication of what we might use as a diagonal support in the future. And there's a lot to talk about on that, but this isn't going to be a diagonals lesson, how I use diagonals. That's for another episode perhaps, but just for the sake of this show, I want to show you how we basically started to form a falling wedge ever since back here, okay? And then definitely when we confirmed a flip of this resistance, this diagonal resistance, into a diagonal support, and then we used it support again, doubly confirming it, triply confirming it, and then quadruply confirming it. And so, yes, in fact, we did have a falling wedge on the macro for XRP. And if you guys know your statistics of these type of formations, there is a 70% likelihood of a falling wedge to break to the upside, and that's what we're seeing here. However, guys, does that mean that you should FOMO in right now? Well, maybe there could just be some type of crazy enthusiasm. Personally, I didn't expect this wedge to break for another month. In fact, I thought we might even just scare the market with a quick dip down and then break up because, these type of formations tend to have a little fake out right at the end before they break to the upside. And since there's still a lot of time before the XRP lawsuit gets settled, I just thought that maybe there could be some more shenanigans. So personally, I didn't get in on that move. Kind of wish I had, but that's neither here nor there. Once missing the move, this is a squeeze play. Essentially, let's go ahead and go down to the daily. This squeeze play started to take effect way back here on September 7th, and then it broke down. That's kind of the shenanigans, right, that I was talking about, and then just popped right back up. And so you could have gotten right back into that trade as soon as you re-entered the squeeze play, and from there it was that nice trade of approximately 40%, right? So, guys, that's what was going on. Just on the daily level, you could see that, way back here, the reason why we use our EMAs, look, you could have gotten into any of these squeeze plays. And again, look at this. Look how this 4 EMA is just so lovely in leading the charge. And so, again, like the 4 EMA is my signature EMA. It's my signature move. I added it to, the EMAs that I use primarily for trading, and it has been very reliable when we get a squeeze play between the 9 and the 4 that can front run what I consider to be a confirmation above the 9. And then for these longer moves, like the week-long moves that you're trying to capture, and by the way, I'm talking about for a daily, okay? But if you want like those really long moves, then you really want the squeeze play on the daily between the 9 and the 20 EMA, which was taught to me by my friend Crypto Redo way back in the day when we just used to kind of chill out all the day talking about crypto together. And basically, I found I used this method of the 4 to front run the move, and then the 9 and the 20 for the actual long distance play. And then once you get beyond that, it's kind of hard to see like where should you take your profit. You can see on the daily we did meet some resistance around this kind of 89-ish area where we did get rejected. A lot of people probably took their profit there. Then you can pop back in if you see the squeeze is back on, and as soon as you get back over that 9, you can just ride this thing up. On the daily, we are quite extended over the 9, and so I would expect that XRP would retrace down to maybe 45 cents. It could go as low as a 41 cents and still be bullish AF. It would be kind of stressing the system if it came down to about 39 cents. But, essentially, I wouldn't FOMO into this. I would suggest a zone. It's going to be a pretty large zone, but I would suggest waiting for a pullback. And if you're blessed to get one, you'll get a pullback between 39 to 44 cents. And that would really be the range in which I'd be looking into getting in on the breakout of this, falling wedge to the upside. Want to see a little bounce put in there. Want to see a little squeeze play put in there on the daily. Since this is effectively a weekly pattern, you should have plenty of time to get back in on a daily. And And this is also a monthly pattern. I mean, this thing has just been building up for a long time, guys. All right. And so that's what I'm seeing here. I wouldn't recommend to FOMO. Now, it is possible because we do have this weekly squeeze play, which is why you're seeing this just tremendous bar. It's a weekly squeeze play, not even a daily. Like most coins are super envious that something could have a weekly squeeze play because most are just struggling even to have a daily or a 4-hour squeeze play. And so this is just a tremendous move. But just remember, with tremendous moves come tremendous pullbacks often, and this could also be a fake out to the upside, and then this thing ends up breaking down. So it is good reasoning to just wait for a pullback, some confirmation of a breakout, another higher low on the outside of this diagonal, right? This long-term downtrend, and then using this type of area as support, going from there. Otherwise, we could start meeting some resistance at any time. This is full of wicks over here, and you can see this wick and this wick, and these wicks right here are going to be putting pressure on XRP at actually the exact price that it's at, 50 cents and 55 cents. And it's only going to get more resistant the higher it goes. So if you want to capture any of that move, your best bet is probably to wait for a pullback and then a pump. Some things just go. I mean, look at this. This thing never had a pullback right here, right? You could kind of consider that this was the pullback. Like it started to squeeze on the daily. It had a huge pump, sort of like what we're seeing here. And then it had a pullback and then it really launched. And we would like to see something like this, right? This is what I want to see before I would be willing to get in on this. And I don't want to see it breaking down from this long-term downtrend. And so wherever it ends up going, I just don't want to see it violating this line. So there is a pretty good buffer zone there. And if we saw something like this, right, then that would be, pretty good. Even if we saw something like this, right? Or heck, even if it took a really long time, like maybe that was just some type of reaction and then it goes sideways, something like this. As long as it didn't break this low and it still kind of shows that sign of accumulation, then I think XRP is still interesting to get into. Now, what could be the potential payoff for this coin? Well, we already know what this coin is capable of doing. There doesn't seem to be any real limitation on this, except for what the lawsuit could potentially come up with. So the lawsuit still does matter, but we do have pretty much a measured move here, which let's just say that this thing does do a retracement, kind of breaks down here. Then off of the retracement, we would probably suggest something like this in terms of where it might end up going. And so I would set a pretty hard limit around $1.55 for any expectations. But that's during a real bull run, guys. And if we're not going to have a bull run, then you can imagine this thing could just be a slow chop up. I mean, it could do something like this, right? Like this would be the end game, right? And so it could do something like this. It could just kind of meander its way up over time. It could even get rejected down and then do something like that, in late 2023. Now, I'm not being precise with this. I'm just showing you what's possible for how it could go, okay? And then we finally have a bull run and you get that candle that you're looking for, right? And then maybe it kind of maxes out. And then maybe it has some continuation pattern. Anyways, it enters a new formation. Okay, so don't think like this has to be immediate. It doesn't have to be one of these screaming candles. It's just cool to see that XRP does that because that does suggest it's possible. Just and it does have a huge army that might be willing to do that and pump it like that. But chasing a 50% pump, that's not a good idea, um, especially in a bear market, especially in something that has a lawsuit over its head, like hanging like a guillotine, right? Like this thing could get decapitated at any moment, and this could just be XRP whales getting ready to dump on your heads in case the lawsuit goes bad. In fact, I'm willing to really entertain the possibility that there are a lot of XRP whales who are smart enough to pump this market. I mean, they can't do it by themselves, but using the wedge and the structure as a moment to kind of, get that pump up and then take a lot of profit. This is what I'm trying to say. To take a lot of profit once we start reaching resistance and then wait to see what the lawsuit does, kind of hands off, right? And then re-enter, right? Like where I have at my green box or below, right? As long as it doesn't lose this support area, then they might just re-enter and just this thing might just pump to heaven. But guys, I'm just saying, like, you'd be FOMOing in, right? You'd be FOMOing in, and that's never a good look. If we do check out just some of its indicators. One of the best, indicators on XRP was actually, because we're on the weekly right now, right? You can see that this thing just was under its EMA since April 2022, and then it temporarily popped up here in July, right? And then it had a bullish divergence plus a pop-up at the end of August, basically in the beginning of September. And so let's just put a vertical line where it broke up above its EMA, right? Where it broke up above its EMA on the RSI, and it had a confirmed bullish divergence on the weekly, right? And why is that significant? Well, let's look where it had a bearish divergence, right? Let's color this one just pink. Now let's go to the chart. So it had a bearish divergence right here. Let's turn off these EMAs. And look, it just fell to hell. So like all the whales, everyone in XRP would have just been selling right there on that bearish divergence on the weekly that broke under its RSI. And then where it had a bullish divergence and it broke above its RSI, do you see how it just went parabolic after that? Guys, you have to look for these things on the macro if you want to take these trades. You could have literally gotten the second best location to enter XRP, and you could have gotten effectively the full move of 50% had you been looking for just two simple indicators, right? Your EMAs, looking for that daily squeeze play, and then your RSI, looking for some bullish divergence, right? Looking for some bullish divergence right there. And then right where it confirms with the breakout of the EMA on the RSI itself. Okay, so your EMA bands, right, which I taught you many times. Look at that. Look at that. The 4 is front running the move with the 9 on the weekly. And then we go to the daily. All right. Look at that. A little bit after, but we have the squeeze play. The EMAs can be a little bit slow to the punch, but it's effectively the same price, right? So you could have gotten in right there. And then on the weekly, just the RSI, right? So like people who say like the EMAs or the RSI don't work, like they don't know what they're talking about. Like you could literally just use EMAs and the RSI and you would have captured the bottom, the absolute bottom of XRP and gotten a 50% move, and that's trading for you. And how did you know to get out? Your EMA has had a squeeze play to the downside, and your RSI had a breakdown to the downside. And this is on the weekly, guys. You don't have to be trading every hour, every 5 minutes. You could have done a weekly move and a weekly move. And if you were on leverage or whatever, I mean, congratulations. Congratulations. So that's trading for you. I don't know what anyone would want me to say more about XRP. It's an incredibly simple chart. Just I am looking now for something like this, because this was also an accumulation, right? You can see this was kind of the bear market. It hit a bottom and then it started to accumulate and then pump, right? And then you had this kind of fake out to the downside. You had this retest because this thing itself, right, was kind of a wedge here. See this? It had its own kind of wedge back here. Right? And it broke out of the wedge and it popped up just like it's doing right here. And so what I want to see is this behavior to kind of repeat itself. I don't want to FOMO in on the pump. I want to see a pullback and then a confirmation of that accumulation, and then let's go. Okay? It could take a while. This is the weekly. It could take a while. You got to be patient. Don't just FOMO at the top because everyone's going to dump on your heads. Like, you don't know when this thing's going to dump. It's now starting to meet resistance. It could dump at any time. It could have a pullback to confirm this breakout at any time. Guys, this was your special report of XRP, all right, Ripple, and I know the temptation. This thing can go vertical. You might miss this one, okay? Like maybe this one just blast to heaven, goes straight to Valhalla, and is drinking mead with a Thor, okay, guys? On some cloud, and then they all piss on your head because they left you behind. But if history has anything to say about it, you're going to want to confirm this level, right? Look how hard it was to break up here. You're going to want to confirm this level, this level, this level, right? You're going to want to confirm these levels somehow before you pump up. So don't FOMO. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But for me personally, for my friends and family, I wouldn't advise them to FOMO into this once it already broke. The setup was here, okay? The setup was right here. And I could also have told you when to get out, right? You guys have interesting coins you want me to look at? Give them to me before they pump, right? Don't give them to me after they pump. That's FOMO, okay? But this was a good message to be thinking about, like some possibility. And, people could front run it. It could go really fast, or the lawsuit could just dump it to hell if they lose, right? And so that's why I'm looking for confirmation. This thing is in a lawsuit, guys. It's in a big lawsuit. High chance of it winning, but you never know. You never know. So I am looking for a retest, right? I'm not looking to FOMO. All right, guys, that was your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.